Does it work again? I tried a little something different on the old camera front here. It is wet as a... No, I took the card out and I reformatted it in the old janky camera, then put it back in. There could be a workaround involved here. I think we just might be onto something here. I had an idea for a video. I wrote down a couple ideas. The top 10 mistakes new paramotor students make. Let's talk about it. We'll just start with number 10, probably just random order. Number 10, filling a backpack with rocks and running with it to get ready for paramotor school. Back here somewhere. Hey honey, you seen the kid's old backpack? I'm looking to put some rocks in it so I can run around and make myself strong for paramotor school. Ooh, lead, I could use that. Really load it up and get strong for paramotor school. I just can't tell you how bad of an idea that is. It'll do nothing but hurt you probably. When you're running with a paramotor, you're not carrying the weight. The wing is carrying the weight. And the faster you run with the wing and the motor hooked together, the easier it is. I mean, by the time you're at a jogging pace, you know, you're pulling like half G's, like half gravity. The motor's pushing the wing, which is picking up your weight, half your weight, the motor's weight. I mean, all you gotta do is just keep running for it to pick up everything and do a launch. The full load of the brick of a paramotor without it thrusting, it's just worn over to the wing, clip in, first couple of steps while you're doing the inflation. But once you hit the gas and start controlling that wing, you're not carrying a sack full of rocks anymore. You gotta trust the thrust, baby. Number 9, buying cheap gear off the internet thinking that it's a good deal. They always tell me the same thing. I've done my research. When I hear that comment, I gotta cringe inside a little bit because the only research you can really do as far as paramotors and paragliders go is to learn how to do it and then try a bunch of different things. Reading on the internet is not doing research, okay? I got this paramotor for real cheap. That's not wear, that's just patina. That makes it worth more, but I'm gonna give it to you real cheap. Yeah, man, I got a wing too. It looks a little faded, but it should pass inspection. I tested it myself. It's still crispy. I see it far too often, and 9 times out of 10, it's a fail. Now, there's one caveat to that, without consultation. Now, there have been people that have bought gear ahead of time, but they checked with me or a competent instructor, someone who knows what's going on, who's got no dog in the fight, that can tell you this is probably okay gear for you at an okay price, or stay away, keep your money in your pocket and put it towards something that's worthwhile. The people who have checked and asked and made good decisions are much happier with their internet purchases than those who have just spent the money without talking to somebody who knows the what's up with it all. Number 8, going to a subpar training school that doesn't teach the whole enchilada. No, man, you don't need to learn to kite. You're not launching off a mountain or flying in thermals. I'll just show you how to launch real quick. I'll do all your adjustments for you. You don't have to know any of that stuff. I'll get it set up just perfect. All you'll have to do is fly it from then on. I'm USPPA certified, and I know that you don't need to learn to kite to fly a paramotor. No, sir, that's for those mountain flying PGers. No, you don't need to learn any of that stuff. I'll show you how to do it the real way, and then you'll never mess up. Pay me, I'll sign you off for a PPG2 rating, because I can give ratings because I'm USPPG WPGA certified. Got all paperwork in there in the drawer somewhere. There's some schools out there, some USPPA certified schools that do not teach basic kiting skills. I mean, I'm dumbfounded. I'm dumbfounded that you could run a paramotor, paraglider, anything and not teach basic kiting skills. That is our bread and butter. That is where everything lies. Every mistake that gets made ultimately has to do with your kiting skills. It's frustrating, and there's some free training out there that is, I've retrained some of those guys too. There's some, again, certified schools. Just because a school has certification, don't get me on a big soapboxy rant here, but just because it has certification does not mean it's a good school or that the instructor has a vast knowledge of the sport. Some people learn to fly, get their ratings, whack, 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 get an instructor certificate, and then open a school. Yet they've not even flown a full 2 seasons. There's something to be said for having some experience in the sport and being able to share that experience with students. Just because you know the basics of everything does not mean that you have experience. Hell, I'm still learning things. I've been doing this stuff for 7 years now, and I'm still figuring things out on occasion. It's never ending. The learning process never stops. You just keep practicing. It's like a medical profession or a pharmacy profession. You just got to keep practicing. That's why they call it practice. And it should be like that with aviation. Anything that's important to the safety of human life, you got to continue to strive to do better. So taking a subpar training course is a common mistake I see new students make. Number 7, worrying about the GoPro. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it won't be a snag hazard. Yeah, I can see pretty good around that. That should get some badass footage. Yeah, for sure. What do you think? I'm kiting pretty good. I probably shouldn't get a snag on anything like this. I'll be able to keep it clear. Is the GoPro on? Oh, where's it at? Hey, have you seen my GoPro? Anybody seen my GoPro? Oh, it's time to go? But what about my GoPro, man? I'd like to film this so I can show all my homies. Somebody gearing up, getting ready to do their first flight. They say, hey, is my GoPro recording? And I'm like, yeah, it sure is, but you forgot to buckle your leg straps and your carabiners are on backwards. You know, stay away from the cameras at first. If you want to turn on a GoPro, set it off to the side so that you can video your training from a third-party perspective and get a good idea of what you're doing wrong from an outside view, because that helmet cam footage is not going to tell you much. Probably you're not going to do any good vlogging if the camera is mounted up with a proper microphone attached on your first or second flight, because the focus is going to be on the flight. And it's very hard to say anything when you're focused on so many new tasks at once. The GoPro is just a terrible idea for students. It's a snag hazard, it's a distraction. Whether you say it or not, it ultimately will take away some focus on what's important. Number 6, failure to commit to the throttle. This is a big one, guys. This is a big one. People are scared to squeeze the throttle sometimes. If you hear your instructor say the word power, squeeze that much. Oh, things are melting. Yeah, the power pole on fire up there. It looks like I saw smoke coming out of it. Sorry for the tangent. Yeah, if your instructor has to say power again and again and again, and you still haven't squeezed it, your launch run is about to go ugly. It's about to go ugly. You got to get into that power. You got to commit. You can't be fearful of it. If you're pussyfooting around on that trigger and you're not squeezing it to get the thrust that you need to make an easy and successful launch, it's a mistake I see new people make with regularity. Closely related to that is dumping the throttle when there's an error with the kiting. Once you squeeze power and you get that thing moving, it's important to stay into it unless you hear the abort call. Now, if I see something going terribly wrong, it will be abort, 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 abort. If things look right, it will be power, followed immediately by pressure in the brakes and posture. Those are the 3. I can't do 3. Those are the 3 ingredients that make a successful launch. Power first, pressure second, posture at the same time. Number 5, sitting too soon or jumping. We'll put those in the same category. They're practically the same thing. I see somebody that does get into the power, they feel the thrust, they feel the lift, and they raise their feet and immediately crash into the ground, destroying their prop, bending the frame. Oh, I said that wrong. Destroying my prop and bending my frame. But ultimately, I see that mistake pretty regular. The ones that promise me over and over again that I'm not gonna sit down, I'm not gonna raise my legs, I swear I'm not gonna do it, those are typically your worst candidates. They're the ones that'll do it immediately and not even think about it. For whatever reason, that seems to be a trend. The promiser. I promise I won't be the one to do that. I've thought about it so much. I've watched every YouTube video there is about it. Yeah, you're probably gonna raise your legs a little bit early. Hopefully you'll miss the ground and you'll have enough speed at that point. But if you don't, you will know what the sound of a crunched propeller feels like. Sounds like. Number 4. Focusing far too intently on manufacturer's performance numbers, whether it be the weight range, the square meters of the wing, you know, whether it has an EN certification for A, B, C, D. I see people get so hung up in that they don't even pay attention to flying the actual wing. They're worried about if they're, you know, 2 pounds over the recommended weight range for certification. Again, far too often that is the focus. Also sizes, you know, they look at one wing and say, what size is that? And then they look at another wing and say, well, that's a different size. So you can't compare numbers across wing models. If you have a model of a wing, you can only compare the sizes based on that model. You can't take it over to another. For example, the Tensing 23 meter and the Ozone Xeno large are the same size wings. They're both 23 meters squared. Not even the same kind of wing, not even close. You're talking about a Ferrari and a jalopy. There you go. Don't focus on the numbers. Your instructor says you're okay. Find out why. You can question, you can talk about the numbers, but focusing too hard on the wing numbers, the specs of the wing, is a mistake I see new people make far too often. It goes for motors as well. The weight, the thrust numbers, the inches of the propeller, all this stuff. Ultimately, it's not important. You get something that'll work for the weight that you are, that is safe and effective, and you'll be much happier than worrying about the minutia. Number 3. Fighting the wing.
Don't fight the wing.
If you catch yourself in a situation where you are arguing with your glider and in a wrestling match with it, I can guarantee you're doing it wrong. That good content? With the phone ringing, Joe. I see it far too often. And again, this is basic kiting skills. But yes, if you're fighting the wing, you're certainly not operating under your basic fundamental kiting principles. And that's what school's for. That's my job, to get you making the right moves where it's no longer a fight. It's more like a dance. And if you're dancing with the wing, then you're probably doing it correctly. If you're wrestling it like you're a Greek-Roman wrestler, Greco-Roman wrestler, what's that wrestling? We don't wrestle in school around here. We play football. I think it's called Greco-Roman wrestling. If you're wrestling with the wing, you're doing it wrong. She's my favorite.
That's right. Don't tell. Shh.
Number 2, tightening up the leg straps immediately before launch. I see it consistently, and I've gotten to the point where I mention it ahead of time where people don't. We do a hang check, we simulate, everything is perfectly balanced. They're able to get into the seat, out of the seat with a perfect adjustment on the paramotor. Yet when we arrive at the field and strap up for that first old flight into the air, they buckle those leg straps and they tighten them down tighter than I'd probably get struck on YouTube for inappropriate community guideline content, but that's how tight I see people cinch them straps down. And when you do that, you basically strap yourself to the seat and you can't get out of the seat, which is an important part of paramotor flying, because in order to do a good landing, you have to get out of the seat and hang by your leg straps at an appropriate adjustment so that you can get onto your feet and land properly. It actually does 2 negative things. On takeoff, it tends to scoop them into the seat, and if they don't force their legs down, it could mean contact with the ground. Same thing as raising your legs too early, but this is kind of the fault of the system being inappropriately adjusted. And then on landing, you can't get out of your seat. You put your feet out, but really they're out instead of down, and you end up doing a butt slider because your feet are 3 feet in front of you instead of under your center of gravity, which is the whole point of getting out of the seat. And the number one thing I see, the number one mistake I see new paramotor students make across the board without fail, over-controlling. Just way too much on their ground handling. They're reaching to their butt. They're reaching out as far as they can. What do you think, Jolie? Is that good content? Reaching out too far? Can I film your face as you make that face? Is this good content?
Don't do what he does. He's stupid.
There's a toilet behind you. You want to go sit on it?
Wait. Is this good content?
Let me zoom out some more. That was actually probably pretty good content. But no, traditionally, when a student is kiting, they're reaching so deep into the brakes that the glider's continually spinning and stalling and over pitching and over rolling, and they're just not dancing with it. Over control. And just on the other side of that coin, when they finally do take a flight, they're scared to pull the brakes past about their chin. And I'm like, more brake. more brake, more, give me more. So when actually it should be backwards. When you're kiting, you should pull your brakes down to your chin. And when you're flying, you can go quite a bit deeper because there's more loading on the wing. That's it. I don't know if that's an all-inclusive list, but those are the first 10 things that popped into my head that are the mistakes that new paramotor students commonly make. Hope you enjoyed the content. Thumbs up if you did. Subscribe for more if you're interested in this type of content or different types of content as well, or bad content. We have a lot of that around here. So if you like bad content, subscribe for more. I'll see you real soon in the next one. Much love. Kyle out.
It doesn't fit. That's what he said.
Julie, it's a dog harness.
I know. I thought it fit.
My employees are so special.
No, let me get it around your neck.
I love them.